You are listening to Meet the Thriller Author, the podcast where I interview writers of mysteries, thrillers, and suspense books. I am your host, Alan Peterson, and this is episode number 48. I want to thank you for listening to this podcast and tuning into this episode. We're going to be meeting E.H. Reinhard, who was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but now resides in sunny Tampa, Florida. He worked in sales in one form or another for the better part of 18 years, but now writes thrillers and crime fiction. He's got several series going on, so we'll talk about that, of course. And he's published 16 novels in the last few years, so we'll definitely talk about that. Stay tuned, and that interview is coming up here in a sec. Just a quick reminder to help me get the word out about this podcast. Best way to do that is by rating it and leaving a review on iTunes, the biggest podcasting directory out there. So that's a great way of helping me get the word out. So here we go, episode number 48. Hey everybody, this is Alan Peterson with Meet the Thriller Author, and for this episode I'm interviewing E.H. Reinhard, who writes fast action thrillers. We're excited to have him here on the phone. How are you doing?
Good, Alan. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Thanks so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
I'm a thriller crime fiction writer. I got 15 books out as we speak. I'm working on the 16th, which I'm about halfway done with right now. I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, and about 6 years ago, I decided to pull the plug and move on down to Tampa, Florida. So that's where I'm at now. When not writing, I generally putz around with my cars and fish. Do a lot of fishing. So.
Well, so that's good. It must get a lot of fishing in Florida then, right?
Yeah, fishing capital of the world, or whatever they call it. So yes, I guess it's the right place.
Yeah, and warmer, better winters than Wisconsin, right?
I had enough of the snow and gray skies and cold weather. I'll deal with my sunshine and the hot sunshine in the middle of the summer, but I'll deal with it.
Yeah, I know how that goes. I moved to California from Minnesota, so I don't miss the cold sub-zero temperatures.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm talking about then.
Oh, yeah. So I was looking at your book. So you have a couple series out. You have the Lieutenant Kane series, and then you have the Hank Rollins series. What's the difference between the two?
Basically, they all start from the book Malevolent. That was the first one that I did. That's in the Cases of Lieutenant Kane series. That's going to be basically straight up police procedural. He's a Tampa homicide lieutenant, and all the stuff that they're going to be doing is going to be in the Tampa area. The Hank Rawlings series, Hank Rawlings was actually Lieutenant Kane, the main character from the first series. That was his sergeant. So he ended up taking a job with the FBI, and now he gets to travel around, basically all around the U.S., doing his thing, basically hunting serial killers down. And now the latest series I'm working on, that's the Dedicated to Death series. That is a prequel series for Lieutenant Kane. So both characters are actually in that as well. And then the fourth book that I'm working on here, that's going to wrap up that prequel series, and then I'm going to get going on something else.
Oh, okay. So you're going to be working on a new series, or?
I'm not sure yet. I want to either pick up where I left off with the Hank Rawlings series. I got some ideas to go forward on there, or I might say, okay, I'll leave these characters alone for a while and do my Agent Faust series, which he's a character that shines around in these books and seems like he's got some kind of secret thing going on. So I think some people expected me to start in with him right away before I actually did the Hank Rawlings series, and I'm fully planning to do an Agent Faust series, so I think it might be maybe time to jump into that.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you that when you decided to like branch out Hank Rollins and Lieutenant Kane. Was that when you were writing it, you just felt like, oh, he could have his own series, or did you get like fan feedback, like, oh, this would be great to have his own series? How did you make that decision?
Two things basically. It keeps the people that are already reading that are invested in the character and like the character. Him having his own is great for them. I got, emails from readers saying, how much they like that character and whatever else. So it kind of made sense. Plus from I don't know what you want to call it, marketing standpoint, I'm kind of creating my own little world here with, these characters that, if you read one book, you'll see a character appear, again through the different series or anything like that. So it kind of keeps it all wrapped together. So at least, the characters, like I said, some of them are the same throughout the different series. So if you come in at one point, you're not going to be, I guess, you'll see someone else that further along,
And each story is within the series, though, it's a standalone, like everything is resolved in that one story.
For the most part, yeah. There's a couple of them where, there might be a story in the background that's going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, each book, can be just read as a standalone. There's a resolution for whatever the main conflict is per book. So you won't feel like you're not gonna get to the end and then, find a blank page and buy the next one,
Yeah, the cliffhanger thing.
Yeah.
And how long have you been writing for?
I've been writing about 4 years. But my first book didn't see any daylight until about 3 years ago, something like that in the winter. So yeah, 4 years actually writing, 3 years with stuff being out. So.
Oh wow, so that's 15 books in 3 years. That's pretty incredible. That's a good prolific pace.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually pick up the pace a little bit more. We'll see. I want to try to get a couple more books done this year. I'd like to have the one I'm working on now done, and then have another 3 written and available before the end of the year. So that's the goal right now.
So from the time you sit down to write on a blank page till it's ready, how long does that usually take you?
As far as the writing, I can get the words down usually inside of a month. But then you have, I'll take a week with it, and then it's off to editing, and then it comes back, and I usually take another week with it, and then I have some people that do some beta reading for me and that, so they'll put some eyes on it, and then gets all put together and goes off. I could do, depending on editing dates, right now my pace is a book out and available about every 2.5 months. So
great.
what I'd like to try to do is get that trimmed down by a week or two, because it's not really my writing that's holding it up. It's just getting everything else streamlined a little bit more. So.
Yeah, that is challenging with all the different pieces, because you have to rely on an editor, beta readers, and cover designer. Or do you do your own covers, or do you have a designer?
I have a designer that's doing them. I just got back this morning, some redesigns for my Hank Rawlings series, so we're going to have new covers on that across the entire series, probably within about a week or so. Place I have to do it is called the Monza. They're out of South Africa. It's a very good place to do covers for a lot of people, and I'm dealing with the main guy there directly now, so this is going to be his first work on my covers. A lot of them, I basically was kind of, I want this and this and this and this, and then they were coming back created for me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now that I'm working with him, I'm giving him a little bit more free reign. It's kind of, here's the idea I have in my head as far as the elements, have at it. So.
Yeah, he's great. He did my first cover for my book, so yeah, he's a talented designer.
Yep.
Yeah, and your covers, I'm not sure. So he did the ones, because I like your covers. They look good. The colors and stuff, they're pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, and so why when you started to write these books, what made you choose the thriller and the crime fiction genre? Were you a fan of that stuff before?
Yep, that's basically I guess what I'm interested in. So writing what you're interested in is probably the smartest way to go about doing this for a if you have to do it for a living.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm gonna read anything, and grab a book off a bookshelf somewhere, it's gonna be in the crime fiction. Generally, I like cops after the bad guys, whether it's a cop, FBI agent, or whatever, going after the bad guys. That's kind of my thing. I'll watch that stuff on TV as well. So do what you like, I guess, and makes it a little bit easier.
And what inspired you to sit down and write your first book?
I basically just thought I'd take a swing at doing it. I was reading at the time a Conrath book, and I was flying up to Wisconsin just for a visit, and I thought, I could probably write a book, and I was wrong. And I tried to do it, and I sent it into an editor, and she told me it was awful, but told me why it was awful. And as much as I spent, 6-8 months writing it, to send it off and have someone tell you that, you can't do nothing with this, it's horrible. Much as that stings, I did take her advice, and the next book that I wrote was Malevolent, and I still think that's probably my favorite book personally, but I actually went back to that editing house. That's the same editing house I use to this day. So after she said it was horrible and you can't do nothing with it, I threw that one in the trash, started again, and sent it back to them to see if it wasn't as horrible the second time around, and it wasn't.
No, that's great. Because a lot of people it's tough, they take that type of criticism, they might not, go away and not try again. So that was great that you took the advice and give it another shot, and then didn't let that put you down. That's awesome.
Yeah, it ended up working out, but yeah, it's, at the time when you get a phone call and you got someone saying that no, you just can't do anything with this, it's horrible.
Yeah, I can imagine that stuff.
It's a little rough, yeah.
Well, yeah, but hey, you're selling, your books are doing very, very well right now. So everything's working out now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
perseverance.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and so when you started writing these books, when you're getting your ideas and stuff, do you base them is it kind of like those Law and Order from the headlines, or how do you get your ideas for these books?
I don't ever actually, if something ends up touching on a, real life event, maybe there's a little bit of a seed of a thought in there, but I try to kind of stay away from that stuff. Basically with, the genre that I write being police procedural and, with the Hank Rawlings series, it's still basically the same thing. He's an FBI agent, but the book, works just like a police procedural would, good guy after a bad guy. Really all you have to do is you have to have a different kind of bad guy. He's got to be doing something, and then you got the good guys reacting to him. So as long as you're finding a different way to, kill someone, if that's what you're doing, or commit a crime or whatever, I guess you got to, you have another book. I have probably, 5 or 6 page sheet of just kind of one sentence plot ideas. So this guy could be doing this. This guy could be doing this. And I refer to it fairly often. I've picked some stuff off of that, but even then it's, stuff I put together. If I think it's something, I'll jot it down. I have a plot that's pretty start to finish, that I put together, 2 years ago now, that's still sitting around, that I always think, all right, this is the time to write that book. I have all the, little things figured out with it and whatever. Nope, I'll write something else. Just as long as I have any kind of idea, a book seems to develop from it.
And do you do a lot of outlining before you start writing, or are you a pantser type of writer?
I used to be a complete outliner, and then that kind of turned into outlining half of them, and then now it's basically down to I need an idea and I'll start writing, and I'll give myself, a paragraph per chapter, going forward, maybe 3 or 4 chapters from where I'm, what point I'm working on as far as this one has to happen next, this is what has to happen next. But for the most part, I kind of went from complete outliner to, I would say, maybe 80% pantser.
Oh, I like that. And you are kind of working on a loose outline as you're writing. Then you might say, "Oh, this is what I'm going to do the next time I sit down to write," or "This is the direction I want to go to." Is that what you?
Yeah, I'll have an idea in my head. I'll have, all right, the bad guy's going to be doing this, and then I'll kind of have like the final scene in my head as far as, this is how he gets caught, or, this is how the final confrontation is. I'll have that in my head a little bit and just start off and right to that resolution. That seems to work pretty good for me. I've been doing it that way for probably the last 10 books. Like I said, it kind of went from complete, before I even start writing, I have every chapter, outlined, to now it's just, let it flow a little bit more. I've done it enough where I can kind of get away with that. I'll still go back through and adjust little things, this would be better here, and once you have it written out, well, you can go back and adjust something and then adjust something somewhere else, so.
So what do you use to write? Do you use like a Word or Scrivener?
Scrivener, yeah.
Yeah, I love Scrivener. I feel like you can drag the folders around.
Yeah, my girlfriend's starting to get into writing here. She's about halfway, actually a little bit more than halfway through with a book she's putting together, and she's doing it in Word, and keep telling her we got to get Scrivener on that. So much easier to exactly go from one chapter to the next. Mm-hmm. And if you label your chapters with, like me, I do good guy, bad guy kind of stuff like that, you can find right where you need to be if you need to go back and add anything in or whatever.
Yeah, so that's cool. So your girlfriend's writing her own book now. She got inspired by what you're doing.
Yeah, she has an interest in it, and she's got an interest in it. She's been writing a little bit here, and when I look at it, I go, I'm impressed with how much better it is than anything that I ever started off with. Where this is actually, I looked at it right away, and wow, this actually looks like a book. So I was blown away by that. But she's going to give it a shot, and if I can give her any guidance, and I guess it helps with having someone who knows what's going on as far as doing this for a living to be your mentor, I guess you could say. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. She enjoys doing it. I think it's great that she's taking a swing at it, and we'll see.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, like you said, have a good mentor, because a lot of people that they might spend all this time trying to. I don't know if she's going to go the indie route or traditional, but that type of advice could be golden for somebody, so don't fall into like a vanity press or something like that.
Yeah, well, it would have been nice even for myself to have somebody who does it, knows basically the blueprint of the business. This is how how you should do it, or this is how I did it, and what works and what doesn't work. Down to anything. It's a lot of stuff to try to figure out if you're coming in, fresh without anything under your belt. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And so where do you usually write? Do you have like a dedicated space in your house, or do you go to coffee shops?
I have a home office here. Nice motorized desk and a nice chair with all the bells and whistles and everything, and then I sit in an IKEA chair across the room from it and look at the nice stuff that I bought to use that I don't use.
Yeah, well, that's what the IKEA chair is working for you, right? You don't want to.
Well, we have history. We got a lot of books. We got a lot of books put out together, and it's comfortable. I don't know. I still sit in there and I look over there like, why do I have this nice stuff? I don't use it. So maybe I'll venture over to the other side of the office and start using it sooner or later. I bought the desk so I could actually stand, and write.
Yeah.
Because motorized, you can get it up and down. And every now and again, when I'm doing text to speech after I get a book back from editing, I'll set it over there and do that, just because text to speech, it has this amazing ability to put you to sleep. So it's a little harder to fall. It's a little harder to fall asleep when you're standing up. So I'll try to do the text to speech standing up over there sometimes. So I guess it still gets some use.
Yeah. I just got a mental picture of standing there and falling like a bag of rocks. Yeah, that's cool. I interviewed Russell Blake, and he's I don't know if you heard of him. He writes thrillers also, and he has a treadmill desk. So he writes, kind of like rock running. I don't know if I could do two things at the same time like that, but that seems to work very nicely for him. So I guess for health-wise purposes. But
if you're just sitting all the time, that's not good. I'll write when I'm doing it. I'll write in blocks, where I'll write for 1 hour, and it'll be timed. Mm-hmm. And after an hour, I'm getting up, moving around, doing something, and then back, I'll write for another hour, then up, go around, do something else,
Yeah. Yeah. And then how about, when you're writing a project, do you have like a set goals for the day, like words or chapters or something like that? Or when you're
I'll usually go by word count, and when I'm in something writing, I'll schedule myself out. That's basically each day I want to hit, X amount of words, which used to be 3,000 or whatever, but as I became faster at writing, the 3,000 is pretty, that's pretty easy to hit. I'll usually hit that in under, 3 writing blocks. So whatever you want to call that, 1,000 words and 1,000 words an hour. But even then, I just feel like that's not quite enough work. So I'm going to try to get it a little bit more. I'll probably do about 4,500 to 5,000 words a day, somewhere in there, and that's maybe 5 hours of writing time, something like that. So
that's a great approach, though. Like you start with something that you could hit, and then when you hit it, then start expanding it versus trying right away with something huge, and then you're all depressed because you're not hitting it.
Yeah. And then, like I said, it used to be, that used to be hard for me to hit, and now when I do that, I still don't feel like I'm doing enough, just because you get faster, and I wasn't doing the one finger typing when I started, but you get faster at typing, and the process of putting the book out gets faster, where it's easier to turn out that kind of word count. So now I'm going to try to get a little bit more up there, and I can shave some more time off of my production schedule. So.
Yeah. And, so what's your writing day? Do you have do you usually write better in the morning, in the afternoon, or are you a night person?
I try to get it done during the day, like a day job for the most part. Yeah. After a certain time at night, I don't want to be, doing it anymore. It gets real easy. That's why I started doing it in basically the timed writing blocks. Because if you're not doing that, you end up starting to, now I'm looking at something for, my truck or one of my cars on the internet or something like that, or now I'm looking at this, and it'll just waste all your time, and you'll be sitting there at, 1,700 words at 6:30 at night, and it's like, well, if I would have just did what I was supposed to do, it would have been a lot, quicker, and I would have been done by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I try to treat it like a job for the most part. I get up, I check my, my stats and everything from the day before. I'll get to writing, and then as soon as I'm done writing, I'm done. I'll check couple other things, marketing wise, if I have ads to book, something like that. I'll do that afterwards. Then I'm done for the day. And I don't I try to take weekends off. The only time that I ever am actually doing it over the weekend is usually when I have a book coming back from editing or something like that, where I usually do that stuff on the weekends, just because once you get a book back, I want that thing, I want it out. So I don't mind sticking, 6-8 hours on a Saturday or Sunday, doing that instead of waiting until Monday.
And then the book formatting, do you do all that yourself, or do you hire that out?
Nope, I use Pulgaris Studio. They're down in Australia somewhere.
Jason, I don't know.
Yeah, he does. Actually, does a lot more people than I thought that he did. But yeah, he's been great. I've been using him since I started, and I'll pester him all the time, even for little things. Oh, I need this one thing changed in my back matter, and then I'll let him know that that's on another 15 books. Which I give him enough stuff like that where It might bug him, but like I said, we've been working together for a couple of years now, so it's all right.
Yeah, so so he knows it's not just once, like 15.
Yeah, exactly.
How's the interaction with your fans? Because you're selling a lot of books. You start hearing more and more from them from emails, or how's that going? That must be fun.
I have a newsletter, and that was basically, I mean, people email me all the time just straight through my website, and I usually am pretty good at responding fairly quick unless I'm doing something or gone or whatever, but most of the time it'll be, just direct email back and forth. Otherwise, I do a newsletter I try to do it once a month, just kind of letting people know what's new, this and that, or if I got a book coming out, or, I'll do a raffle for something, and I'll get, a response back from the newsletter subscribers. I finally got a Facebook page together a couple, maybe a month or so back. I'm going to do a kind of a launch with that Facebook page to get some eyeballs in action on there, but I'm going to start using that to keep in touch with fans a little bit more, just kind of a little more of the day-to-day thing than something that would necessarily need to be in a newsletter,
Yeah, and I noticed on your website that you have a few of your books are available for free, so that would be a great deal for the listeners to get to know your writing.
Yep, I did, and I started out that way with basically the first book in the series free. It's a good way for people to take a swing at, to see if a book's right for them, and yeah, it's worked as a promotional tool for me, and like I said, it's good for potential readers to take a swing on something without coming out of pocket and decide if they like it or not first before they move on.
You're available everywhere, right? You're not exclusive to Amazon?
Nope, I am everywhere you can pick up an ebook. I'm at.
And so, okay, so you don't work on the weekends. So that's good. So I was going to tell you still have to find time to do the things that you enjoy, like fishing. But yeah, that's good. The way you set your schedule, you can enjoy stuff like that. You're not always writing.
Yeah, and if it's something that if I need a work day, if I need a weekday to do something else, which is usually fishing or something like that, or if I got something, an appointment booked somewhere, I'll try to, I'll swap out a weekend day for something like that or whatever. I mean, that I don't mind doing. I try to get that 5 days a week, and it could be, I've always been fairly good about being disciplined, if you want it to pay like a job, you should treat it like a job, it's nice to be able to not have to answer to everyone and work at your own schedule and this and that, but you still have to actually work.
Yeah, that's I have over 40 interviews now, and that's all the successful writers like yourself have very disciplined schedules, and they treat it like a job. It's a fun job, obviously, better than working, a regular job, but it's still treating it like a job because it's what it is. You're going to pay your bills and everything.
Yep. Exactly. If you want it to pay serious, you need to treat it serious. So yeah. It's funny that you mentioned Russell Blake a couple times. That was right around when I was starting out, and he put up a post basically, if you want to be successful, here's the things to do, and it was about 30, 40 different things. But and if you haven't checked that out, or anyone who hasn't checked that out, go check it out, because I did, and I tried to stick to it, and he knew what he was talking about. Even right now, it's still pretty spot on.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'll have a link on the website for the listeners. I'll dig that out, because I think I have it bookmarked.
Yeah, exactly. I still have it bookmarked too, and that was the first thing that, like I said, my girlfriend is, has an interest in this and whatever, and that was the first thing that I pointed her towards. Here, read this.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
So, yeah, he's a machine. He's amazing how his output. Although you're right up there on home. So, well, I'm not going to keep it too much longer here, but what do you, I know we talked some pretty good advice for aspiring writers, and have some of those are my listeners, but anything else you'd like to say before I let you go?
Not really. Appreciate everyone checking it out. Like you said, you can grab the first couple books of mine in the series for free. Take a shot, see if it's right for you, and that's about it.
Yeah, and your website is ehreinhard.com, and I'll have a link to that as well. But people can go check that out. It's very easy to get them. I like the website, the way it's laid out. It's very nice and easy to navigate, by the way. You did a good job.
But that's a past. That's a little bit of my past life that I still do when I was doing web design. That's all. I did that myself. So,
okay. Well, that's
nice to hear that someone thinks it's easy to use.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thanks very much for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Meet the Thriller Author. I'd like to ask you to please review and rate this podcast over on iTunes. It really helps me get the word out. If you take a few seconds of your time to do that, it would be much appreciated. You can also visit my website at thrillingreads.com/podcast for show notes on this episode, as well as information about the podcast in general. And you can also sign up for my mailing list there. You'll be getting special offers from our guests, as well as information, behind the scenes information on the podcast. And please do visit my author website at alanpeterson.com. I appreciate your support. And so until next episode, I will talk to you then.